All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice.
Y así es, chavitos, brothers y brothercitas, por fin pasó, por fin. Trump, por fin, brothers, arresta y captura a Maduro y a su esposa en la madrugada de hoy, sábado 3 de enero del 2026. Esto es... Por fin, brothers, la verdad. Y le cae en muy buen tiempo a Trump. ¿Por qué? Porque ya todos estamos hasta la coronilla de que no metían a nadie a la cárcel. Por fin cayó uno de los 300 que tienen que caer. Ya era hora y la verdad estamos contentos, brothers, porque por lo menos Venezuela va a empezar a vivir mejor. Eso le debería de pasar a México, caray. Y pronto también. Pero la veo más difícil por allá, por lo del Mundial. Pero por lo menos ya empezó con alguien y este es Maduro, un hijo de la chintola dictador que aunque perdió las elecciones, se quedó como presidente, brothers. Es el líder del cartel de los soles, que mete muchísimo, pues saben, sustancias ilegales por medio de Honduras, Colombia, México, hacia Estados Unidos. También se dice que expropió muchísimas compañías americanas de petróleo, de embotelladoras en Venezuela. Se quedó con todas sus propiedades, con el dinero, con muchas cosas. Y ahora va a ser, pues por fin, cambio para vida de Venezuela. Felicidades, brothers, la verdad se lo merecen. Han aguantado como los grandes. Y ojalá venga un cambio también para Estados Unidos, porque pues al quitarnos ese tipo de ahí es una pieza fundamental para todo lo que es el narcotráfico en México, en Latinoamérica. Todo le quita mucha fuerza a México, a Cuba. O sea, es una pieza grande, la verdad, es un pez gordo el haber agarrado a Maduro. Vamos a oír esto, brothers, porque esto es un acontecimiento literalmente histórico. O sea, agarraron a un dictador, hijo de la chintola, que se hacía, cada vez salir en las cámaras, se hacía pasar como una ovejita. Y vean cómo lo agarraron.
No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, maybe like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years.
Well, good morning, Griffin. A daring operation in the pre-dawn hours in 2 a.m. local in Caracas, 1 a.m. East Coast time. U.S. Special Operations Forces flew in from off the coast of Venezuela to snatch Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife. President Trump announcing the news on Truth Social a short time ago. I'll read it for our viewers. It says, quote, "The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump." And just before the assault force arrived at Maduro's compound, you can imagine the intelligence that U.S. intelligence agency had to have to know where to send the assault force to be able to locate and grab Maduro as well as his wife. You had numerous airstrikes throughout Caracas targeting Maduro's forces at a military base in Caracas as well as an air base, also Venezuela's largest port. And this is something President Trump has been threatening for months. It started with the drone strikes on the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, over 24 to date, killing over 100 people. You saw it when U.S. forces seized, as a law enforcement matter, the oil tankers that the Trump administration said were associated with the Maduro regime. The goal is to cut off the drug and oil revenue stream for Nicolas Maduro. And for months, we've heard President Trump say that Maduro must go, and Maduro was very defiant. Despite repeated threats from President Trump, over 15 times, President Trump said he will be striking on land. Recall on Monday, we heard the president confirming that the CIA struck a target along the coast of Venezuela, destroying some of Maduro's drug boats. And again, this has been something that is not quite unprecedented. We saw in 1989 with the seizure of Manuel Noriega from Panama. This is something that the president wanted. We had not heard from President Trump, almost shades of Operation Midnight Hammer when those B-2s struck Iran. We haven't seen President Trump over the past 2 days. We heard from him on New Year's Eve. It was interesting. A reporter asked the president what his goal was for this coming year. He replied, peace. Well, for the President Nicolas Maduro, he didn't get that. Now, we did hear from Maduro yesterday, guys. He sounded like he was almost pleading in an interview done from a car, believe it or not, saying he was almost begging the Trump administration for a deal with oil. Of course, many American oil firms were kicked out of Venezuela decades ago. We've heard from President Trump in recent days saying he wants that oil back and the company's in.
Well, and it's totalmente, brothers. Ahí lo están oyendo. Esto fue la noticia que se dio, bueno, hace poco, porque pues, esto no se dio a conocer hasta hace un par de horas. Quería que oyeran esto, brothers, lo antes posible. Y pues Este es un triunfo, la verdad, primero para Estados Unidos, porque este tipo metía muchísimas sustancias ilegales para acá. 2, Venezuela, felicidades, caray. Ese es mi doble A. Saludos, brother. Un fan súper serraldeado que siempre ve aquí la fregadera, brothers, desde Venezuela. Y tengo amigos venezolanos, amigas muy guapas venezolanas que pues la verdad ya querían que saliera este güey Maduro. Salió. Y esto del juicio va a ser algo, brothers, la verdad, interesantísimo. Porque le van a meter cargos a él, su esposa también va a tener cargos. Esto está cañón. Esto está muy, muy cañón. Y empezamos el año con el pie derecho. Y en buen momento, como lo dije, porque a Trump le hacía falta algo así. Empezar a arrestar gente. Y digo, empezó con Maduro, qué bueno. Ahora que venga México también. Y también que venga gente aquí en Estados Unidos, los políticos rateros, como lo estamos viendo en Minnesota con Tim Walz, como lo vemos aquí en California con Newsom, como lo vemos en Chicago con Pritzker. Todos lados, en Oregon, por todos lados hay peces gordos a los que hay que tirar porque están destruyendo a Estados Unidos. Maduro estaba destruyendo no nada más a Venezuela, sino al mundo entero, brothers. Y no se vale, no se vale, no se vale. Gracias, Trump. Un aplauso, brothers, la verdad. Un super logro. Literalmente, brothers. ¿Cómo es posible que a estas alturas del 2025 siga habiendo dictadores que pierden elecciones y les vale gorro y se quedan nada más por sus pelotas? ¿Qué cabeza cabe, güey? Pero bueno, y aparte se la pasan jodiendo a todos los países con sustancias ilegales, tratando de destruir Estados Unidos, metiendo gente aquí, mandando, así, literalmente vaciando sus cárceles, metiendo a todos los pandilleros que son los hijos de la chintola a Estados Unidos, brothers. Está muy cañón. Bien por Trump. A darle, brothers. Soy SERRALDE, brothers. Los amo. ¡Mua!